Oh my God, is that the prototype?
The iPhone 17 just leaked. I'm not talking about a render. I'm not talking about a dummy model. This is the real iPhone 17 that leaked in the real world. In fact, this might have been one of Apple's worst leaks ever. Speaking of iPhone 17, I've got some new bad news to share on the iPhone 17 Air. I've got some good news for anyone who likes some Apple freebies and discounts. And also, it seems like Apple's kind of trying to reinvent themselves. Are Apple shoes and like an old school Apple Watch actually making a comeback? I'll get to that. But first, let's talk about something you can get for free, early, right now, and that's iOS 26. That's right. The biggest iOS redesign, overhaul, basically, total transformation we've seen in years is here right now. And while the developer beta has existed for many months, a lot of people want something a bit more stable, something that's not going to totally destroy the battery, which is where the public beta comes in, which is out right now. And spoiler alert, if you didn't know, you can get this for free, use it on all your devices, and enjoy it a couple of months before your friends get the regular old build that goes out to everybody. Also, of course, launching this fall with iOS 26 is the phone that's going to run it the best, the iPhone 17 lineup. I mean, at this point, we are so close to the launch and Tim Cook's classic,
Good morning,
that, we kind of know what the phone's going to be. In fact, there's a really good chance that Apple is building the phone right now as we speak, as you watch this video, and a couple of news blitz coming in on some last minute things. First off, we've got our best look yet at the colors of the iPhone 17 lineup, and as you can see, it's kind of what we've expected for a while. Now, for everyone complaining the Pro phones never get something interesting, there is a little bit of an interesting move here, as Apple is going with their standard black, white, gray, but also a dark blue and a burnt orange sort of copper tone. Funny enough, this was was it a last minute leak or like a rumor for a while, a couple of generations ago that just didn't happen, but now looks like it's coming to fruition. On the iPhone 17 side, the regular phones, we've got a really bright like neon green, we've got pink, we've got blue, and then for the Air, this might be the most disappointing of all. Sorry if you're going with the Air phone for more than one reason, but on the color front, you've got like black, white, kind of a silver, and then sort of a baby blue, and that is really it. For some reason, Apple is very picky on their colors and which colors they designate to which phone class. So if you want the coolest, brightest colors, that's iPhone 17, but at least the Pros are getting something a little bit more, special than normal. I like that copper, kind of grown on me. And of course, as we get closer and closer to the launch, everyone is wondering what surprises Apple could have in store. And really at this point, it comes down to what is not on the surface, what we can't see. For example, there was a new round of leaks that came out over the last couple of days about a potential 8x optical zoom lens for the 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max. So stepping up from 5x would give you more optical zoom with 8x. Not sure if that's super useful, but that is one of the latest rumors, along with some bad news for the iPhone 17 Air or iPhone 17 Slim. Seems like at this point, it's going to be the iPhone 17 Air in terms of naming. Now, we knew Apple was going to have to make some compromises to get the phone this slim and this thin, so you'd be likely losing out on horsepower potentially, and definitely on cameras, and battery life was going to take a hit. But everyone was wondering just how bad battery life was going to be. And now we might have our answer. At least one source is coming out saying that the exact milliamp hour rating of the battery for the iPhone 17 Air is under 3,000 milliamp hours, which is pretty weak. It's basically less than the iPhone 17, or I should say rather the 16 that we know the battery capacity of. So it's less than the 16, but it's more than the mini phones. And remember, the mini phones plagued with issues, one of the big ones being poor battery life. So it's better than a mini, not as good as a 16, so right there in the middle. In fact, we're hearing battery life might be such a concern for users that Apple is preemptively developing some kind of special battery case specifically for the iPhone 17 Air. So if you want a slim phone, this looks really, really cool. But on the other hand, be prepared to make some compromises with cameras, and likely you're going to see a big hit on battery life. The never-ending leaks for the iPhone 17 are bad, but then it just gets worse for Apple with this photo that made the rounds on social media over the last couple of days, claiming to be an iPhone 17 Pro prototype model spotted in the wild. And from all available sources and all evidence I've seen, this is likely legit. It's a real thing because, of course, Apple, as much as they'd like to, they can't test these phones in a bubble. They've got to take them out in the real world, see how the cell connection works, test the features, test it like, you'd use a regular old phone. And a very select number of people have access to phones they can take out. And of course, there are a lot of strings attached. I don't have to remind some of you of what happened in 2010 when an iPhone was left in a bar. Most of you might remember that story. But anyways, these days, Apple is still very careful, but they've got to do it. And it's just so happened that things lined up and this photo was snapped of an iPhone 17 Pro. And we know it's a Pro because we've seen all the leaks of what the camera bar is going to look like, and it looks like the cameras are matching up on the back of this phone. And we're also hearing that this was in a special case, sort of masked and disguised to make the phone look thicker than it was. Apple likes to play tricks like that, but this is likely a Pro phone being tested from some Apple employee or very close confidential Apple contractor in the Bay Area. So iPhone 17, the closer it gets to launch, the more and more stuff leaks. That's the latest we know right now. Now, I do have to say that I've spent a lot of time, especially I feel like the last couple of years, ragging on Apple. Like, I don't mean to be overly critical, but I do want to be fair to you guys. But I do want to make sure I give credit where credit is due. And there was one announcement that totally came out of left field, no one saw coming, that actually I do think is worth some kudos to Tim Cook and team. This is the announcement of Apple Care One, sort of like Apple One. It's like the subscriptions, you get everything you'd want. This is Apple Care One that basically gives you top tier Apple Care coverage, which is accidental damage, water, theft, rolled into one for 3 devices or up to 3 devices for $20 a month. And if you look at the individual pricing for Apple Care at a one-time thing, or I think for monthly for iPhones, I was paying like $10 a month per phone. This actually is a pretty good deal. The nice thing about this as well is not only can you mix and match, so you can do Apple Watches, iPhones, Macs, iPads, things like that, but the eligibility window to bring a device in is pretty generous on Apple terms. You can bring a device, Apple says, that is in good condition up to 4 years old. So like in my case, I bought a MacBook Pro back in, October, November, before the end of last year. It's been, it's over 6 months old, never bought Apple Care on it. But now with Apple Care One, I could retroactively add it in, and now it's got coverage. And for $20 a month for 3 devices, especially you've got high dollar ones like that, I think it's actually not a bad deal at all. So thanks, Apple. In fact, we're hearing right now that Apple is working on a couple of different projects that could sort of be the future of the company. For example, we know they're really interested in the smart home space and the home control space. Not only is Apple working on some kind of home pod with a screen, I keep wanting to say HomePad, that's sort of the rumor name, is some sort of HomePad, but we also know they're working on home robots and also smart home devices, that they're going to be building their own smart doorbell with Face ID and I think Touch ID, cameras, and a number of other smart home devices. So that is obviously an area of interest for them. And then we also know that the iPhone sort of could use a little revigoration, a little bit more excitement. And according to analysts, I believe it over at JP Morgan Chase, they believe as soon as next year in 2026, the iPhone would get that extra special attention and love with an iPhone Fold. We've heard a lot of rumors lately about an iPhone Fold. We've been hearing more and more rumors and a more aggressive timeline, and at least according to one source, could be launching onto the market as soon as next year for a price tag of likely starting at $2,000. All right, everybody, and with that, I will leave you with your thoughts that you can drop in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on the Apple news of the week? Are you excited about Apple Care One? Is it a pretty good deal? Your thoughts on iPhone 17 leaks and all of the drama that Tim Cook wishes you wouldn't watch and you just ignore, but sorry, Tim, we're looking at it all. Drop a comment down below. Let me know. Appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for sticking around. I'm Robert Rosenfeld from the Apple Circle, and I'll see you guys in the next one.